It's time to check your money with your friendly neighborhood advisor. Mike Jennings is a wealth advisor with Brackens Financial Solutions Network, LLC, and a registered representative of LPL Financial, member SIPC. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, George. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you for that. Yeah, it is Father's Day, believe it or not. I get blessed because I've got birthday this past week and then Father's Day in the same week. So I'm good.
Real good. You got some good gifts?
I did. I did. I'm really excited. So they take care of me. I'm good.
Good.
Always some place to eat and good dinner on my birthday and some good presents. So we're good.
Really? That's all I need, some good food, honestly.
Listen, mama made some oxtails, baby.
Ooh,
So I was good. I was good.
awesome. That's good. That's good.
So what's on the docket this week?
This week, George, we are discussing a growing crisis in our community and in our country, really, and that is the crisis of child independent care.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as the workforce demand grows, so does the need for dependable care for children. And it's difficult for people to make money, whether as employees or even as their own business owners, if their attention is constantly needed elsewhere. So the discussion of childcare is relevant for many reasons. One, childcare allows parents to pursue or continue their careers. The rising cost of childcare all over the country is a big thing. The existing programs and resources to help with those costs are also something of note. And the recent uncertainty, even in our local community here in Syracuse and Onondaga County, I know you heard about the whole DSS situation, whether they were going to, meet the funding cap, and then they're going back and forth with the state, and so it seems like it's straightened out now. But hopefully, people in our community can get the help that they need. And also, this idea of the sandwich generation, right? When people are working and they have kids to take care of, we're finding that a lot of, especially millennials, as the boomers and the Generation X, as they're getting older, you have people that are in the workforce that have to take care of young children and also aging and ailing parents as well. So they're getting crushed from both sides.
Yeah. And so with that being said, then what can uh, in that context, what can parents expect to pay for daycare and or other programs?
So, according to Childcare Aware of America, the average price of childcare has risen between 1.1 to 5% every year since 2018. The study also found that this cost accounts for 10% of a married couple's income, which is more than the government recommendation, and it can exceed average rent payments by like 25%. Now I don't know, they're counting 2018 rent prices. It skyrocketed since then, so they're probably a little bit more even keeled. But this is a significant amount again. And a different study from the American Progress shows that among impoverished families who have children under the age of 6 and who pay for childcare, 35% were pushed into poverty by these expenses, and
Mm.
that totals to about 135,000 families per year, which is alarming. That's a lot of people. And each year, an average of around 446,000 middle class families are pushed into a lower income quintile by childcare costs. So, with all of that being said, we can see that this is very clearly an issue that demands our attention.
Yeah, it's something that you don't really think. Well, I'm not thinking about it anymore, but there was
Not
a
anymore.
time. There was a time, Michael. There was a
That's
time.
right, because you raised kids of your own. So tell me what it was like, back then. What were the costs like, and what were some of the ways that you avoided those costs?
Well, we couldn't avoid those costs, but so that's one. But also, it was like a mortgage payment. It was literally
Yes.
a mortgage payment, and it was almost to the point where it didn't really make sense to actually to go to work, but you did anyway because it was still a little bit more coming in, but you definitely were paying out, and you tried to look for different solutions. And you asked, what were some of the ways around it? Depends on if you had a home care or if you had institutional. And then for some of our children, they were in a preschool type program. What's that? I mean, it's a specific program, but it was very much an inclusive, very hard to get into program,
Mhm.
and so that costs right.
Was
But
that like Head Start or something like that?
it wasn't Head Start. It was I can just name what the school was. It was Geronio School,
Okay.
and Geronio prides itself on inclusive education, and so our the girls in particular, not my son, they grew up in that environment. But and we're very loving, very supportive, and very hard to get into, and so. But obviously, there's an expense that goes along with that. So
Hmm.
grateful for the education they received there, and that they had an inclusive education with children of all abilities, and that made them very very open to people no matter what their ability. So it was a great experience, among other
Yeah,
experiences that we've had. Some
that's beautiful.
we've had all of the above, and some bad experiences, not there, but in other situations. Having
Right.
to, child care is not only aside from the expense of it, it's quality too, and uh, are the people that
Yes.
what I mean. Those are the things.
Hmm.
So it's not just the expense of it; it's also the quality of it.
Absolutely. And we're definitely going to get into a few of those things that you said, but you know, getting a little bit into kind of what you were touching on there, the old phrase, it takes a village to raise a
Mm-hmm.
child, right? And that's even one child. But these days that village is getting expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And for solutions for child care, the most desirable answer for many people is utilizing like a trusted family member or
Absolutely.
someone who can care for your children while they're at work. But as we're seeing with people being in the workforce longer and now some of the uncertainty around certain things, even elderly people are staying in the workforce longer. So some of them can't even have the time to look after children. So unfortunately, this is just something that many people don't have as an option. And so outside help becomes necessary. So what can they do, right? So we talked about daycare, and then getting back to your question of like, what are some of those real numbers? How much is this costing, right? So the New York State Office of Children and Family Services, they produce a market rate list yearly for childcare costs. So you ready for this, George?
Let's go.
All right, so the market rate for daycare and this is for children that are under 1.5 years is $385 per week.
Mm,
Now, as you get up between 1.5 and 2 years, you're looking at $365 a week. Between 3 and 5 years, you're looking at 340, and between 6 and 12 years, you're looking at $286 per week.
right.
This isn't, that's between the top and the bottom line. That's only $100 difference.
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
so even, throughout the first 12 years of a child's life, depending on how long they're in some of these programs and institutions, you're looking at a pretty penny.
Yeah.
Um,
And like I said, mortgage payment.
a yes, either a small house or a decent sized house mortgage payment, right? Um, what are some other options, right? Hiring a nanny. So we recently had a client deal with this situation, and she works from home. She's in Florida now, but she works from home, but her position demands her attention a lot of the time. So she has a in-house nanny that comes and watches her child while she's working. But one of the things that she ran into is not understanding that, when you hire a nanny, especially for a significant amount of time, whether it's part-time or full-time, you actually have to go through some of the same regulations, some of the same rules when it comes to taxes and employment. This
Mm-hmm.
is this is basically an employee that you're hiring. So this applies. And if this is something that is out of your budget, I'm not gonna throw out numbers, but she was getting up there when it comes to having a full-time nanny. So if this is something that is out of your budget, consider even a nanny sharing program, right? And this is something that could be done privately between you and another family or someone else that you trust. Or, there are some existing nanny sharing programs out there as well. So that's just another option if you want something as far as like an in-home service or things like that. George, did you ever consider hiring a nanny?
Nope. Nope. Never did. Nope.
Now, back then, if you had it, would that be an option?
No, I don't think so. Not in
No.
our family dynamic. No, I
Yep.
don't think so. No.
Yep. So one of the other things is the dependent care flexible spending account.
Yep.
This is could be a great tool if it's available to you. Unfortunately, not many employers offer this kind of
We
uh,
we have that available. We had it.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, good. So, and I also found that, even the number of people that had it available to them, the number of employees that actually, took took use of it was
Hmm.
pretty low.
Right.
So again, like you said, it was available to you. It is available to you. If it is, definitely consider adding that into your tool set. Another option is summer and after school programs, right? And depending on the type of program, this could be a cost-effective way of knowing your child is supervised while also doing something productive, right? So I got nieces and nephew. They're in all different kinds of things. I can't even keep up with them. They're playing instruments. They're dancing. They're in acting. I have no idea. George, did any of your kids have some of those extracurriculars and hobbies and things like that?
Dance, rugby, gymnastics, swimming, band,
Gymnastics, yep.
football, cheerleading. Should I go on?
Now, did I don't think you
Swimming.
just listed what were the ones that were like, oh, hold on. I might be pulling out the wallet a little bit too much.
Well, gymnastics, there was events, there's tournaments, dance, you had the pot, your tuition, you had costumes, so any kind of extracurricular activity that's going to enrich your child is going to have some expense related to it. It is,
Absolutely.
on the other hand, so worth it because they then have such a wide range of experience and abilities, but it is something that you have to be mindful of.
Absolutely. And based on whatever method you choose or however you decide to go about doing these different things, um, qualifying costs can be deducted from your tax liability each year. So of course, the child independent care tax credit. I'm pretty sure we spoke about that up here before. We spoke a lot about taxes, but that's up to $3,000 for those qualifying expenses, and that's for one child or dependent, or up to 6,000 for two or more. So they cap it at two or more dependents. So somewhere between 3,000 and 6,000 is your cap each year. Um, Keep in mind that many of these potential solutions that we're talking about that we discussed, they're not suitable or even practical for each family. Every like you just said about the nanny, right? Family dynamics is individual to each family, right? Um, and families with children who have various health conditions are usually met with some of those more immediate related costs to that. And that's anything from your kid having a food allergy that you gotta keep up with and be aware of, or up to having a major disability that can have a financial impact, right? So I would just say remember these quick tips. Understand your financial situation and what is actually in your budget and what you can afford. Utilize government benefits as much as you can. SNAP, HEAP, DSS. Um, Check for local organizations and nonprofits that provide resources for underserved communities and families that are in need. People need help. That's just the bottom line. People need help, and there is no shame at all in asking or in receiving help. So, if that's something that is true for you, if you know you need help, if sometimes it just takes that first step. That first step is sometimes is the hardest, but you know, um, you should be in a position, or you should have the right to take fuller control of your life. So please speak to a financial expert and see where you are in your personal situation. You can always give your friendly neighborhood advisor a call at 315-748-5540. Again, that's 315-748-5540, or send me a quick note at michael.jennings@brackensfsn.com.
Mike Jennings is a wealth advisor at Brackens Financial Solutions Network, LLC, and a registered representative of LPL Financial Member SIPC. He is your friendly neighborhood advisor.